The reform process initiated is wider and deeper than any comparable program earlier. Its multiplier effect would have long-term beneficial impact on the economic and social development of India. We also take some pride and satisfaction that, given the turmoil in the rest of Asia and many other parts of the world, our macroeconomic fundamentals continue to be strong. They create new opportunities for private investment, both domestic and foreign. A GDP growth of well over 5%, inflation below the double digit number, comfortable foreign exchange reserves, positive growth in agriculture, a stable exchange rate management coupled with sectoral initiatives have reformed the government to a policy of liberalization with suitable checks and balances. I have said so earlier and would reiterate today that there is no panacea to bring about high rates of economic growth here. Our aim to be a strong nation so as to be able to live in peace, prosperity and dignity. We recognize, however, that the strength of its economy, whatever we do to strengthen our national economy, we will do it in a manner that will simultaneously strengthen the democratic polity of India. Whatever we do to strengthen the democratic polity, we shall simultaneously strengthen the secular unity of India, and whatever we do to strengthen our democratic polity and secular unity, we will bear mind the need at all times to dramatically reduce poverty in the shortest possible time. There is a decided case in which a Harijan student was admitted in a medical college. A law was made for the purpose. The case went to the High Court in Madras and it decided that equality before law is not available under the Act because all students should be treated equal, and so the admission was cancelled. We have Article 32 in our Constitution. What does Article 32 and also Article 26 provide? Article 32 provides the right to an individual to go to the Supreme Court in order to enforce the fundamental rights made available to the citizens. In the Fundamental Rights chapter, Article 32 is also there. I do not mean that the people should misinterpret me when I say that Article 32 creates difficulty and that Article 32 should not be there. I do not mean that Article 32 would be necessary. Difficulty arises as Article 32 is there, and if fundamental rights is made available to the citizen can directly go to the Supreme Court. There are three major problems facing our country today. The first is that of floods, the second is of drought, and the third is of pollution. You may be aware that deforestation is the main reason underlying the problems of floods and droughts. If the mountains are denuded of forests, there is no obstruction to the flow of water downwards and fast eroding soil along with it. In this manner, the rivers get flooded in our country. About 4 crore hectares of land is flooded. On an average, 1 crore hectares of land is flooded every year. In case of every heavy floods, 4 crore hectares of land may be flooded. However, on an average, 1 crore hectares of land is affected by floods every year. The woman made great efforts to stop that and said that cutting of trees was against her religion. Finally, to cut the long story short, the woman was put to death. What her 3 daughters came forward to offer resistance. They also met the same fate. Later, thousands of people assembled there. This happened in a village which is at a distance of 20 miles from Jodhpur. The Reserve Bank, as the central bank of the country, will be represented at the level of the deputy governor on the board and on the executive committee of the development bank. The Reserve Bank is therefore in a position to continue to make its positive contribution to the operations of the development bank and through it of all the other financial institutions. I now take this opportunity of paying a tribute to services rendered by Reserve Bank of India in feeding the Industrial Development Bank of India from its infancy and having brought up to its present status so that it could take up the leadership of the other financial institutions independently. As I have already stated earlier, the Industrial Development Bank of India will continue to be as such a concern of the Reserve Bank as of the government in the new setup as well. Why that process has stopped, I don't know, but I would recommend to the finance minister that loosening of the control in a selective way is a highly desirable process and to continue. If you want to ensure that productivity increases, I would say it is criminal thing.